the biggest thing that you think you guys have gained from the scrimmage?
Which scrimmage?
Though, sorry, what do you think is? Let me reword my question. What do you think is the biggest thing you guys need to work on going into the first game? The thing you want to see out of your team that you may
Uh,
be, you
yeah,
know.
there's a long list of things,
Hmm.
actually. Probably
Yeah.
too many to list now. But for a young team like this, one of the things that you got to be mindful of is the learning curve, right? Is different than last year's team. Um, and so there's a little bit more patience um, in terms of carrying things over from drill to real action. And we try to play an awful lot. I probably have played more live basketball with this team than I have with any other team I've been associated with this early because they need reps. And inevitably, situations come up that they've never imagined before. And the significance of those situations will show up later in the year. But to answer your question, probably the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is how consistent can they play? Not how well necessarily, but how consistent can they be in terms of their effort and focus. It's really hard to get young people to understand that because it's not hasn't been something that's been really important to them so far.
Is
How
that
is some?
something that, sorry, Hallie, is
No,
that
it's okay.
something they can only really see through trial and error? It's harder to kind of preach that in practice until they really see it on the court in action.
Yeah, you try as much as you can to simulate it in practice, but it is hard to be honest, because we do competitive things, but there's not a win or loss right on the table, and so getting these guys into a game situation. The scrimmage was good for us. We did some real life situations against somebody else. The exhibition will give us another opportunity to do that. And as we move forward, they'll continue to come up in different ways, and then we'll go back in the film room and learn from it.
How do some of those young guys react and respond when you're out there playing live basketball with them?
I think I shock them most of the time. It's very very rare. I was actually, I guess, my first year in coaching when I was a grad assistant. I practiced every single day, and I was the other team's best player most of the time, and I enjoyed it. And then as I've kind of gone along here, I've practiced less and less, and I'm down to about 3 days a year that I have in me. And but those 3 days a year, I get out there and I talk some smack, and I make sure that they know that at some point there was a good player in this body.
You mentioned that Kendall Smith tried to dunk on you last year. You had anybody try anything crazy this year?
No, I haven't played any defense yet this
Oh,
year.
okay.
See, that's the one beauty I have is I get to choose which parts of the game I get to play now. So I've only been on offense so far, but there'll be a time I'll get out there and guard somebody.
Kalu said the exhibition kind of taught him how fast the college game is. Is that something that you noticed with all the freshmen? Is that things are still moving really fast for them?
Yeah, and I think it's a reference in the scrimmage in Wichita.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got out there, and for the first time, it's not, you know, here's the drill, and this is exactly what's going to happen, and so practice, practice, practice. And the reason they need to understand, we do that so that their reaction time is better when they see those situations in games. And yeah, I could tell that they were like wide-eyed for the first 10, 15 minutes, like, wow, this is all happening at the same time. It's not like, I shoot the ball and I figure out whether it's going to go in and then decide to go rebound it. No, you shoot it, you got to know what's going on. You got to be able to chase it down, and if you miss, you got to be ready to get back on defense. So you can see that, but that's normal. That's part of the natural progression of when the game slows down for them, and they can understand what's going on better. Like with our juniors now, the game's really slow for them. With the new guys, and in their minds, the answer to it is to go faster, which is actually the wrong thing. They think that they have to go faster or move faster. No, you just have to make quicker decisions. But you do that with more repetitions.
From part-time in the summer to full-time now, how do you feel Kalu and the other freshmen have progressed?
Man, they've all gotten a lot better. In every aspect. Mo's probably our most well-rounded basketball player in terms of skill set. He can do a little bit of everything. But Duncan's gotten better. He needs to get a little bit more confident in his jump shot. Contravius has gotten more comfortable just playing, just getting up and down and using his body. Yor was as impressive of a player as there was on the court at Wichita. And I'm talking both teams. And Ice has had great moments. Yeah, he hasn't been as good lately, but that's part of it. He's hit, I wouldn't say he's hit a wall. It's too early for that, but he's found some struggle here physically, just the taxing of practice every day and the grind of it. And obviously we're down a couple guys on the perimeter, so there's more load on him at this point. But I'm pleased with all of them, and they'll all be a big part of what we do this year.
Over the years, you've seen a lot of players that needed structure. I mean, once they got into a family and a situation like this, they really, excelled. What about because he's a guy that's bounced around, and how much has this structure and everything helped him?
I think this has been really good for him because it's consistent. There's no guessing on where things are going or what's going to happen next, but a lot of that credit goes to the family who adopted him.
Sure.
The Bishops up in Kansas City. They gave him that last year, provided him with an opportunity to get his academics in order where, because he had moved around so much, he didn't ever really have a consistent way to go home and study or whatever it was. They really helped him grow as a young person. He's got a tremendous appreciation for opportunity, and you can see that on his face every day. He smiles more than any kid I've ever been around.
You've broken out, I think, a different one of those shirts every time we've met with you. How important is it to be able to make those messages visible?
It's really important. In fact, anytime you come into our practice, everybody on our staff wears a shirt with one of our pillars on it. And it's, again, we're continuing to establish an identity for the long term of this program under our leadership, and this is always going to be the foundation of that.
With a game like you've got Sunday, is there a lot of film work that goes into the other team, or is it more just inward looking?
To be honest, it's almost always more inward looking, no matter the opponent. But yeah, at this point of the year, you really don't know much about the opponent, to be honest. And it'll be that way for probably the first few games, even of the season. Our first game at Charlotte, they've got a lot of new players and a new coach, so we'll be guessing in a lot of ways. But what you hope is your principles can take over, right? Your ability to play together and just figure things out on the fly can help you. But you always focus more on your team's development. Are we getting better? Are we using this opportunity to grow? And then obviously we want to win, but we also want to do it the right way.
Can you take us back to that day during the summer when you challenged Thomas to make, was it 25,000 shots that he ended up making? What was that like?
I don't remember the exact day, but I kind of pride myself on being a really good communicator with the guys, and always knowing how each of them are motivated. And Thomas isn't one who lacks confidence. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but so he needs to be challenged in ways that can make him focus a little bit better. And one of the things that we need from him is to be a consistent shot maker. And that's his greatest asset other than his experience at this point, especially on this group. And I thought that it was a number that he would struggle to get to be perfectly honest, and he crushed it. And so I was really proud of him. But it was more of, I want to see how hard he'll push himself to really now step up, because of the guys who have returned. He's got the smallest resume in terms of production. And now is an opportunity for him as a veteran on a young team to be a guy who can show by the way he works what it takes to be good. And that doesn't guarantee anything, right? At the end of the day, he's still got to come out and perform when the lights come on and people show up. But I feel confident because of the work he put in that he'll figure it out during the season.
Friday was a success for you guys. You guys have had a couple of more days, a big win from the football team. How do you feel the weekend went overall, the big impact for you guys?
Tremendous. Tremendous. It's the best thing we do other than play a game. I mean, people don't tailgate for basketball. So to have an opportunity with as many young people as we were able to have on campus, it's going to go a long ways. I mean, but we've been preaching this same message about, it's the work we do behind the scenes and the type of people that we have within the program that are going to give us a chance to continue to have really, really talented people wanting to come here. And I think we're turning the corner in that regard. And at the end of the day, if we continue to do that, everything else will take care of itself.
Thomas said he got to 25,000 before you guys even went to Europe. Is that
yes,
right?
Yeah, he actually was at. I think he finished the summer with 25,968 was the number, and those are makes only. So this isn't just a guy coming in here just jacking up shots, man. Those are made baskets. So yeah, he crushed it. I mean, I think he was finished a week before we left, and he made sure I knew about it.
You said you thought you gave him a number that he'd struggle to hit.
Sure.
Did it surprise you how quickly he piled them up?
Yeah. I was surprised after like 3.5 weeks how far ahead he was already. And I could tell he had a pretty determined mindset about it. And I wasn't surprised after the first 3 or 4 weeks that he would get there. but I didn't know how serious he would take it early on. Maybe he would get there right at the end, or have to
Right.
come in maybe the Friday before he left to get 50 more or something like that. But I mean, I think he hit 25,000 on like July 29th or something like that.
When he hit it, how quickly did he come find you?
Oh, I got a text message that
Yeah.
night. I wasn't here, but he made sure he found me.
You mentioned media day that you weren't even close on coming up with a lineup. We got a projected one yesterday. Is that kind of maybe setting itself in stone a little more?
Nope. It's something that Steven said he wanted to put on the program for you guys, and so. And I'll be honest, Chico is probably not going to practice today. He got a little, nothing major, but he pulled his hamstring a little bit yesterday, so we'll hold him. And this isn't the type of game that I'm going to make him play 30 minutes in if he doesn't have to, if he's not ready. We think he'll be ready. We think he'll play, but if he's not, then, we'll give some more minutes to somebody else.
How do you feel like the perception of you has changed both at this university and in just the college basketball world over the past year?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure. I think people at least feel like I'm a good person. I don't want to blame people because this program, the people here, were all put in a really tough spot at a time where we're trying to re-energize itself to kind of be deflated overnight, literally, the way it was. It was very understandable for me, for people to be like, well, maybe that's just not something we need to be vested in right now. And I didn't take it personally, but I did take my job seriously, and I try to work with a lot of pride regardless of what expectations are. But the other part of that is people just didn't know me at all. And so, again, whether people were happy or sad, it was, who is this guy? And now I think people feel like they have a feel for who I am as a person, the type of coach that I am to the players, and the type of, I guess, citizen I am. And so, it's a place, it's a city, this is an area where that's valued. And being a good person who works hard, who doesn't feel like he's above anyone else, I think carries a lot of weight. And that's why I've been received, a little bit better over the last 12 months or so.
The program is still dealing with that. I don't want to get into that, but you've had a whole year with your staff, with the players you brought in. I know you said last year was your team, but you've brought in your own players. How do you feel that your time here, has it gotten easier? Is it gotten a little harder? Is it slowed down?
I wouldn't say it's gotten easier. In fact, I think this year is going to be much more difficult than last year. We got a lot of guys who'll be doing things for the first time now. Our staff is all the same, and that helps because there's a continuity in messaging. And obviously what we're trying to do, everybody is here on board for that. The stuff off the court, we can't really control, and eventually that stuff will work its way out and we'll be past it. What we try to do every day is come in and focus on the task at hand, try to get better as a team, and I try my best to make sure that, whatever happens in between line doesn't affect how I take care or treat these guys once practice is over or games are over.
You've got what I assume would be the team kicks on it. Depending on who you ask, KD's not a very popular guy around here. Who came up with that? Is that something that you guys control? Which shoe it is?
It's one of those things that I have no idea. They showed up in my locker. I don't know who decided. I don't know if it was the players or our equipment manager. I don't mind having nice shoes show up in my locker. So, but I like KD. He's a really good player, right? I wish we were Warriors and were able to just go out and get the MVP from 2 years ago to come play for us for a few years. That'd be nice, but they're comfortable shoes if you want to know. I don't know about this back piece. It kind of rubs against the back of my ankle a little bit. But.
Do you enjoy the shout out he gave you guys on Instagram? I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's always a level of credibility that comes with being recognized by one of the best players in the history of the game, and he's certainly that. And they're playing really well. Heck, I watched the show last night that I haven't seen in a while. And for that guy who had 52 last night, made 14 threes to supposedly be their third best player, Steve Kerr's got a pretty good gig.
I got one more Thomas related question. He said one of those days when he was doing it, he had 1,000 makes in a day. Can you imagine just from your playing days how tired your arms and legs would be after not 1,000 shots, 1,000 makes?
One of the things I tell our guys is we want to be tough mentally tough guys. And I tell them that the measure of their toughness is very hard because they have to find a way to be as tough as I am. But that was a display of physical toughness that I don't think I have. I didn't like shooting that much.
Right.
B, I wasn't as good a shooter, and probably would have found something else to do with some of that time.
It would have taken you more shots. Is what you're saying.
Many, many more. To make 1,000,
Yeah.
we'd still be there.